And, and breastfeeding is hard. It is. Like, some women really struggle to get the latch and things like that. And I didn't have those struggles. But even I remember like the 1 or 2 days when we waited for my milk to come in, Mirabai was just screaming and I had nothing to give her. And I can imagine just not knowing what to do. Even having a lactation consultant who keeps telling you it's going to be okay, and wanting to give up. And, I was maybe breastfed for 6 months and you were breastfed, we know, for about a year. Mm-hmm. And so to still be breastfeeding our toddler at 3 is very unconventional. And, but I've mostly, where we live, I've had people come up to me and say, great job. I've never had a negative experience. I will say that. I've never had someone tell me, put your boob away. But I think it's also energetically who I am and how I hold my body and how I feed my children. You can't say that to me because it's an honor and a privilege that I get to do this. And there's nothing else in the world I would want to be doing for them.
Welcome to the Peaceful Pop-Up Podcast. I'm Ravi, your host. Together, we'll slow down, breathe, and explore grounded fatherhood with greater peace and presence. I'm grateful you're here. Enjoy the show. All right. We are live. Welcome to episode number 10 of the Peaceful Pop-Up Podcast. I'm your host, Ravi Rothenberg. And today, probably the most special guest that I've had on the show. Guests. There are 2 of them. One being my beloved, my adventure partner, the mother of my children, Lynan Saperstein, and my 6-month-old son, Maxwell. Maxwell, Lynan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. We're very excited to be here.
What did it take to show up today as a mama with a toddler and an infant?
I mean, I think like you got to pack all the things. Like that's the physical, energetic piece is a little heavier. There's a lot of weight to being a mama, to having little ones.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for exerting the extra energy to make it into the studio. Yeah. Max, thanks for putting all of your obligations on pause so you could be here.
Yes.
And to the listener too, this is a really special episode for obviously many reasons, but along the way you'll be hearing some extra sounds from Max mostly, and I just appreciate that we're able to do this. This is really, really meaningful.
And we're going to include them in the podcast. Let him be a guest as well.
Totally. Yeah, this is really a part of, I want to show all of the parts of fatherhood. And for me, I can go away to the studio and be just away from my family when I'm doing this work.
Yeah.
Or I can bring you into the fold. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is my first podcast interview with Max with me as well.
Yeah. First of many.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So we'll start as we do. I know you have an impressive LinkedIn. You spent a lot of time curating it over the years. Your website for your business, The Experience Experts, is gorgeous. But I want to meet you again and again and again in this moment.
Yes.
As you know, that the moment is really all we have.
Yeah.
And so in this present moment, I know you're familiar with the game, Head, Heart, Hara.
Yeah.
But again, a brief refresher for the listeners who maybe are tuning in for the first time. The head, so we're going to play a game. Mm-hmm. 3 parts. Are you down for the game?
I'm going to have you hold him when I do the game.
Oh, that's smart, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll explain the game and then I will hold him while you play, so you can be fully present.
All right.
So from the head, we're going to place our head on the forehead and speak from the place of just the factual information about Lynan. Where you're from, your family constellation, what work looks like, whatever factual info wants to come through. Okay. Once we've honored the head, we're going to move down into the heart space where we speak from our feelings. And you'll get a chance to speak, I feel, and fill in the blank. Honoring the heart, we'll drop down all the way into the Hara, just below the navel, the core of your being. What do you want for yourself, for your family, for your communities, for the world at large? Okay. We'll see what's most alive in that womb space for you as you're birthing more things. So I'm going to take Maxwell.
All right, mister. Here you go.
There you go, buddy. Yeah, let's listen to the mama. Share where she's at. So, yeah, feel into your headspace.
Yeah.
And when you're ready, you may start speaking from the head.
Okay. My name is Lynan Saperstein. I was born in Northern California. I am 42 years old. I live in Lafayette, Colorado with you and our two beautiful children in our beautiful home with our dog Bodhi and our chickens. And I met you almost 6 years ago on a blind sort of road trip. That was a first date that lasted 11 days. I have been self-employed for most of my adult life. And I run a marketing agency in little increments now that I'm a mama. But mostly I'm a mama to a 3-year-old now, Mirabai, and a almost 6-month-old Maxwell. Yeah.
Amazing. I love you so much.
Love you.
All right. Hand on the heart. And let us into the feeling world of Mama Lynan. What are you feeling?
I'm going to cry already. I know I'm just going to be the first guest to cry on your podcast. I feel very stripped down. I feel raw. I feel vulnerable. I feel so blessed. I feel so grateful for my life. I feel so grateful to be here and co-create with you. I feel so much love that sometimes I feel like I can burst and pop like a balloon. And I feel frustrated on a regular basis and overwhelmed because I'm figuring it all out, and I'm also not figuring anything out at the same time. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's take a breath for Lynan. Thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah.
Your tears are welcome.
Yeah. We don't have tissues.
We don't. So we'll have to, as we do as parents, just rub the tissues into our sleeves. So honoring that feeling space, we'll descend down.
Get some toilet paper.
Descending down into the Hara. At the core of your being.
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you really want out of this life?
And I think I like to say I desire. Right now I desire deep stillness. I move around a lot. I desire a touchstone of peace and calm for all beings, but mostly for myself and for you and for our children. I want mamas to not be isolated and feel alone in their journey. I want couples to stay together after they have small children, even though it's hard. I want them to have the tools to do that. I want babies to feel safe so we can ripple safety into our world.
Beautiful. We can marinate, have a touchstone of peace and stillness in what you just shared.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful and noble and just humanitarian desire.
Yeah.
What a gift to be able to feel that so fully.
Yeah.
And just express it so eloquently.
Thank you.
I do. Yeah.
I can take Maxie back.
I can hold him for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah, give you a chance to feel a little bit lighter than normal. And if it's clear that he needs his mama, you're right here.
Okay.
All right. I want to honor where you started in the feeling space of feeling stripped down.
Yeah.
Of feeling raw and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And like you don't have anything figured out. Talk me through your journey of becoming a mother, that transition from maiden to mother, and at its rawness, what's alive for you?
I think what comes up first for me is that like I spent my whole, beginning adult years like wanting to know how to do it and wanting to be a good adult and figure out my emotions and how to make money and how to maneuver my way through the world. And I've felt I did a really great job. Some of it was performance and some of it was trying to be impressive and what I say, faith it till you make it. I wasn't faking it. I was really believing I could be. But something about becoming a mother, one of my dear friends says it's something you can't verbalize. It has to be experienced. You can't tell another mother what she's going to have, what she's going to experience as a first-time mother. She has to just go through it. And so nothing could have prepared me. No book, no conversation,
About a podcast.
I listened to a good amount of podcasts and there was pieces I had, but then there was just being there for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the raw and the stripped down part, is that you can't know what to expect. You don't know how you're going to react. You don't know how your body's going to react. You don't know how you're going to physically feel, energetically feel. You don't know the state of your relationship under that pressure cooker. You don't know the state of your own emotional well-being, your own childhood traumas. You don't know how your village is going to show up.
Yeah.
I thought my village was going to show up one way and they showed up another way. And so I think the stripped down is that I really have released a lot of expectation because I can't. If I hold on to expectation, it's like bloody hands. I'll hurt myself more. And so I have to really be open to whatever comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are now 3 years into parenthood.
So wild.
Just a couple days ago, our daughter turned 3. And we've done parenthood very differently. One of the big things we've done is we've had 2 home births.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, in your journey of, I know you used to work in the medical field in certain capacities and
with children.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, on your journey, at what point did you know that you wanted to do home birth and just have a much more natural approach to being a parent?
I actually didn't know the word home birth until I was pregnant. I don't believe it was in my lexicon at all. I was living a more natural or holistic lifestyle already. Like you and I, we eat clean, we move our bodies. It's important for us, yoga, things like that. But the thought of going into a hospital just felt like a no. And in the US right now, midwives are like the new cool thing. They came back in the 70s and it was very scary. And it is still scary. I mean, home births are, I think it's 1% in the United States. And in the Front Range here in Colorado, it's like 2% or closer to 3% now. But we do things differently. That's who we are. And and the more I researched it, like then that was sort of the catalyst to like looking into things and learning about things. I was like, this is the only way I want to birth a child, not under fluorescent lights, not being super monitored, not with all the interventions that can turn a birth very quickly into a large surgical. Here, I'm gonna take him.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, buddy. Yeah. So to me, home birth was the only option once I knew my options and I really was in the position of going to be having a baby.
So you had 2 children at home. No interventions, no monitors, no Pitocin, no nothing. What was it like to feel and be with all of the sensation that arises during natural home birth?
I mean, it's very intense. It's very intense. You know, people want to use the word pain, and I sort of hang out in circles where they talk about pain-free birth. And I think I understand what pain-free birth. It doesn't mean you don't have sensation in your body. And in fact, I had a lot of sensation with my first birth and for many hours.
Yeah.
But I really felt like it was this psychedelic threshold that I got to go through. Yeah. A psychedelic threshold I got to go through. And I felt I was feeling old trauma that was in my body, my physical tissues that needed to move through. You know, I had done exercises called TRE, trauma releasing exercises. And so when my body was shaking in real time and processing trauma, I wasn't scared. Yeah. You know, when my teeth were locking, I wasn't scared because I knew what was happening in my body. And so I wasn't resisting. I was definitely complaining at some times, and I was feeling pain. But I moved through it and just saw the sensation that was getting my baby out and positioning my baby to effortlessly come out of my body. Yeah.
I was there for it. I was there for every breath, every surge of energy.
Yeah.
You know, I think what I really appreciated about your approach to our home birth was that we really used intentional language.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of contractions, they were rushes. And we'd use those rushes of energy to make progress and to be with the sensation, however intense it was.
Yeah.
I got to witness you really diving into spiritual midwifery and reading the dozens and probably hundreds of stories of home births and all the flavors that they come in. What was that like for you to really pour yourself into the investigation and the research needed to feel equipped and confident to do home birth?
I felt like it was essential. Once I started reading them, they were sort of like, oh my God, these are so interesting. They were like all these little tiny fairy tales. And there were so many different ways that birth could go. And I think that's what I needed to prepare myself for. Like anything can happen. And how do I want it to go? And how do we want it to go? And we talked about that too. For me, it was really important to just understand that I wasn't the only woman who was going to go through this and that billions of women have done this before and not one looks like the other. And I had two very different births. Can't even compare the two almost. And I just needed to know where I was in that spectrum and feel safe in that anything could happen and that I would be held, and that birth is this mystery that unfolds the way it's meant to be. Even the child has like a birth story that they need to live out. And I'm the vessel. I'm just a conduit to help it come through, and a lot of surrender in that too.
Yeah.
And then also building all the tools that I could around a birth to feel strong, to feel supported, have you prepared, have our home prepared, have anybody we wanted in attendance, and know who exactly we wanted in attendance for the births. Yeah.
Who was there for our?
Well, for the first one, it was just you and me and a midwife who was a very old school midwife, so very non-invasive. I didn't have my glasses on or contacts in, so I could actually barely see her. But she was like this energetic pillar of strength at the bottom of the bed. And I could turn to her when I had a question. But for the most part, I was going through the experience. Yeah. And then for Max, it was just you and me. Yeah. It happened so very quickly. It was a free birth. Midwife was on the phone, but it was just you and me. Yeah. And Mirbai and the dog upstairs.
Dr. Mirbai, our 2.5-year-old at the time, she had her doctor set on the stethoscope, checking on Mama, but really it was just us.
Yeah.
I remember it like it was yesterday, 6 months ago, and just the gratitude I had for obviously the health of him and the relative ease of the birth and his arrival into the world. And here we are 6 months later. We have 2 children. We are still finding our way, still figuring things out.
Yeah.
I want to speak to the work that you have been doing in the world for the last, let's just call it the last dozen years, working for yourself in a meaningful way. And now you use the word increments. I'm working in increments, and ultimately most of the work and your energy is going into our kiddos.
Yeah.
What's it like to have spent every day of the last 3 years breastfeeding and doing what you need to do to be still enough to be there for the attachment needs of our kiddos? And why is that important to you? Loaded question.
Yeah, there's layers to that. I'll see if I can unpack it. It was a non-negotiable for me to be present for our children, number one. And then, I tell you, between being present for me and being present for us, our number 2 and number 3, I know exactly I had 3 days off in 3 years. I didn't breastfeed for 3 days that I went to go see my sister last year.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Or this year, earlier this year. So I had 3 days off. But I've had, wake ups almost every night, probably at least 3 or 4 feedings plus per day. And our first is very attached to me. So it's like long feedings. She stays latched through an entire nap. So long contact naps. And I think what happens is we live in a society where women go back to work very quickly. They want to bounce back physically. They want the bikini bod or their abs back. And that's sort of normalized in the magazines and blogs and all the social media. And I, at my core of my being, intuitively knew that was not where I was going. Even I had like a client lined up for 3 or 4 months after Mirabai, and I remember I would get on those calls for 1 hour and hear her crying and just miss her. And if I somehow energetically did get into the client, I come back kind of disoriented. Yeah. I remember one time you handed me the baby and said she's hungry, and I went to the refrigerator. Like it was like I went to get her food instead of provide her food. And so there is a way that work really disorients mamas, and specifically disoriented me. You and I are passionate in our own ways about, how children develop and how we developed as children. And, my fancy degree from a university is in childhood development in psychology. And, what I was able to study then, was attachment theory, but it's evolved so much since I got out of college. And, wanting to have a secure attachment for my kids and knowing what that entailed. And, I was a part of research studies in college around that. You still hungry? Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to line him up for a proper feed. Okay. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay. All right. And, and breastfeeding is hard. It is. Like some women really struggle to get the latch and things like that. And I didn't have those struggles. But even I remember like the 1 or 2 days when we waited for my milk to come in, Mirabai was just screaming and I had nothing to give her. And I can imagine just not knowing what to do. Even having a lactation consultant who keeps telling you it's going to be okay, and wanting to give up. And, I was maybe breastfed for 6 months, and you were breastfed, we know, for about a year. Mm-hmm. And so to still be breastfeeding our toddler at 3 is very unconventional. And, but I've mostly, where we live, I've had people come up to me and say, great job. I've never had a negative experience. I will say that. I've never had someone tell me, put your boob away. But I think it's also energetically who I am and how I hold my body and how I feed my children. You can't say that to me because it's an honor and a privilege that I get to do this. And there's nothing else in the world I would want to be doing for them. So breastfeeding on demand. I pumped, I don't know, a handful of times. I don't really enjoy getting on a pump. And Mirabai never liked to bottle, so it was sort of not something we ever really went deep into. And we co-sleep. So, right now the configuration of our co-sleeping is mostly Mirabai with you and me with Max, just because I wake up so much at the night with him. But, we spent every night of Mirabai's life with her. Yeah. She's never been a night away from either of us. Yeah. And so, that's very different. Parents going on vacation, going away for work.
The number of times too that we've been offered cribs or encouraged to set up a second bedroom for her so she can be in her crib in her own space. And it's really never something that we've entertained. From
pregnancy. Yeah. From the beginning. And we didn't even fully know what we were signing up for with co-sleeping until we were doing it, right? Yeah. And then, he's like, you're not paying attention to me. Okay. And then biting, right? Like biting is a real thing with breastfeeding, but it's because you're not paying attention or your energy is going somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And that's something I've experienced with both of our children. When I go somewhere else, they want my attention back. Yeah. They want my full attention. That's what children want. They want your full attention.
Talk through your understanding of attachment theory and why we are doing everything in our power to orient towards setting them up for that attachment for a secure attachment, especially in these first 3 years.
Well, I'll start by saying I'm not an expert. I can just share my own lived experience. When we raise children, first we are mammals, right? And we're carry animals. So we're meant to carry our children. And so we think of all the devices, and I'll call them devices, but all the tools that are now created on the market in consumerism to take care of children, right? And a lot of them separate us from our children. So you think of cribs, you think of even strollers, even though people are pushing their babies, they're not touching them. They can't feel your body warmth. They can regulate their body temperature using your body. And that's why we're big baby wearers, both of us. But just a lot of the tools that are out there are separating us. So what has slowly happened to humans is that we've developed some pathologies in our attachment to our primary caregivers. And so we're seeking secure attachment. We're seeking to find that person who's always there whenever we need them. But because of this modern world and all the, I think, modern devices and tools that parents have available, they are distant, and then they develop disorganized attachment. They avoidant, and also just anxious. And so what we're really trying to do is develop this secure attachment that from birth, but really in those first 3 years, that there is someone there for you when you cry, when you have a need, when you don't have words, right? Because all they have is cries and grunts and anything else. Like, Max can cry for a million reasons. One could be that he's farting and he has gas. Another one could be that he's tired or he's overstimulated. There's too much light. There's too much sound. And so I always say, for me, my journey of attachment has been just being moment to moment present with the needs of my child and my own needs. Yeah. And just bouncing back between the two.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all that you do, the awareness, the subtle ways that you shift the space to be more conducive to their sleep or their relaxation, whatever the need is that's arising. Because I know you and I did not grow up with that level of attunement and support. So closely related and an extension of attachment styles and being securely attached is the nervous system. Yeah. And I think one thing that's unique about our relationship and our coupledom is that we've gone really deep into our traumas and into the study of the nervous system, both to be resourced as individuals, but also to really set up our family for success in what I believe is the ultimate wealth, to be regulated and present and connected. Yeah. What was it like for you to lean into going through the trauma awareness training and
Right.
going into conscious couple circles with me so that we have the tools to be better in relationship, but also more resourced as we're starting our family.
I really wanted to be in a conscious relationship. I actually didn't see it as an option to not be in one. Otherwise, I was not going to be in a relationship. And so I think when we initially got together, I think there was this conscious, intentional piece to it. And so, there were these conscious couple communities and programs I wanted to do with you, and you were such a yes. And I loved that. And we can talk about that if you want. But I think you brought your own layers of your own, trauma-informed training that I didn't even expect were going to show up. And I, you very quickly said we did this trauma awareness training. But, I think I didn't even want to do it. I thought, I was like, oh yeah, babe, you do that. And you were like, no, like we're going to do it together. And I was like, why? And you were like, well, I want to be in a trauma-informed relationship. And that was really potent for me. And I knew it was going to stretch me. And even I remember the application for the program was hard for me. And I'm glad we did it. Like, I'm glad I showed up. I'm glad I felt the feelings that I felt. And we were talking about this just yesterday, but what we have now is a trauma-informed family. Yeah. A family that has awareness of attunement. I'm not perfect, but you can mirror that back to me. We have awareness of how our nervous systems are working, right? If we're in fight or flight, or if we're resting and digesting, we're friendly and free, and where our children are at. I think that's a huge piece. I think a lot of parents have no idea where their children are on the nervous system spectrum, and so they can't relate to them. Yeah. And you remind me all the time, we use your triangle. If Mirabai, I'm talking about our toddler, if our toddler is not regulated, we cannot have any other conversation with her. Yeah. We just have to get her regulated. Yeah. And the way we start is for us to be regulated so she can co-regulate with us, because she's still building her nervous system. Exactly. And I think that is a big piece of attachment that people don't talk about enough, is that, babies come in very much like a blank slate because their brains are building, the neural pathways are building. And we want for them to have that emotional resilience, to be able to bounce back like a rubber band, like a ball, come back after the big fall, after the upset, that they can come back to calm, that they can come back to stillness. They can not hold that upset for the rest of the day, like many adults we know, right? Even like sometimes I still do. Yeah. And to be able to have that stress regulation, just when, like we just had a birthday party at our house. And, I think the one thing about our daughter is if she is overstimulated, she finds a way to soothe herself. And not that we've even taught that to her. She's developed that on her own, probably by watching us and probably seeing us, and also from the tools we've provided, which is like, hey, you're overstimulated. Let's go step outside. Or, hey, let's shut the door. Or let's turn down the music or the lights, and created the environment for her body to reset. Yeah.
One of my biggest turn-ons and also the proudest thing that I can witness in our family are the moments where, and you're so good at shepherding Mirabai through it, is, hey, we need to take a breath. And she'll literally put her arms up and go, even in the moments when she really doesn't want to. And
she knows, she learned it.
Yeah. I just thought, for me, that's such a gift to have that awareness and a tool and a practice that she can reach for as a not even 3-year-old.
Yeah. And we went to like a mindfulness kids workshop, and she picked that up. And I think it was 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. She really didn't have the attention span for this workshop, and she'd much rather play the games they had. But she heard the woman teach this breath from one of the books, and she took it. Yeah. And sometimes she says, I don't want to breathe. Yeah. But even that conscious, I don't want to breathe is like, okay, I'm not ready. Yeah. Not yet.
That's telling us too, that she's still dysregulated, and we have work to do. We don't have to rush into anything.
We have a little ways to go. Yeah. And it also shows us that, for me, that I need to get more regulated myself. Okay. What am I? trying to get somewhere. I'm going to try to do something. Okay, drop that stuff. How can I be even more present with her and what she's going through and drop whatever my agenda is?
Let's take a pause.
Yeah.
Just a brief one. Just to take a breath and love what's come through so far. Love the energy that's building. Want to ground it in and be here for it.
Yeah.
One of the things that you shared is that you want mamas to feel more resourced, to be more resourced. You know, the society is not designed in a way to support moms and young families. And I've found how we've had to really reorient towards the social spaces and the environments that we're finding ourselves in. Yeah. You know, and that's a reinvention of us as parents as we become from individuals into our more of a family unit. What are some ways that the dads listening, whoever's listening, can better support mamas with little ones, whether that's babies, infants, toddlers? How can we help to better resource the mamas?
Well, I think first understanding what being resourced is and what a resource for that mama is. I think every woman is different. Every mama is going to be different with what helps her come back to herself, come back to her body, come back to calm, stillness, whatever she needs to rejuvenate. You know, we've done a practice where we'll literally draw a picture of the body and what are your inner resources and what are your external resources. And so that's a great practice for a mama to do, and then share it with a partner, share it with your mother-in-law, share it with your neighbor or your girlfriend, so they know that that's something that can support you. And even sometimes when I'm totally grasping for straws, I visualize that paper, and even silly things like I need a cup of tea can bring me back to myself. You know, the exact way that I love tea will help me have 2 minutes back to myself. Yeah. I'm going to give you to Papa.
So what I'm hearing too is like, have the conversation. Yeah. Right? There's maybe a lot of assumptions like, oh, mama needs a manicure or a massage or yes, she might need that time away to nourish herself physically and externally, but maybe she just needs
food. Like literally food or a glass of water. That's the number one thing I talk to mamas about how they feed their kids like gourmet, organic, gluten-free, nut-free, dairy-free, what all these things, perfect food, and they didn't feed themselves. And they're eating bars or candy bars or Taco Bell because they didn't feed themselves and they fed their kids like the most perfect thing. So mamas often will, again, put themselves at the bottom of the list and not provide for themselves. And so it's just the small little things. Like sometimes you will literally hand me a glass of water and it'll be the exact thing that I need. Or like, hey, can I hold the baby while you put on your shoes? You know, because I do a lot of things one-handed, you know, or I'll hold the baby while you eat so you can have like undivided food attention. And that's only for like infants and children that you're still holding. But just, I think it's paying attention to the small things that mama is enduring so she can keep going. And how can you just alleviate it in small ways? Yeah. And stay resourced yourself. So you can, especially papas, staying resourced yourself so you can notice those things. Yeah.
I take a good amount of time for myself. Usually it's in the wee hours of the morning. I really try to resource myself before the family is awake. But what's it like to be on the receiving end of being with a partner who is strong and energized and vital and present? Like, how does that serve you as a mama?
I mean, it's everything. I wish that for every mama. I know that's not how all men are showing up in their lives. But you come in balanced when I maybe haven't slept all night, you know, or you come home from the gym and I've just had a full tantrum. I won't put on my clothes. I won't do this while the baby took a huge poop all over the table or something, you know, and I can find some resourcing in the co-regulation with you, you know, because I'm coming in as the dysregulated toddler, essentially. And, or if I can't be with our toddler. You can kind of take over. And she immediately has this fully present, fully charged, full cup that she can regulate on and very quickly de-escalates. Mm. So it's very quick. And I'll say, you notice everything, like I'll think of something 2 hours later, like, oh, did I get this out of that and do this? And you're like, yeah, I already took care of it. Mm. And I'm so, so very, very grateful. Like the word grateful doesn't even encapsulate what you do, but I cannot imagine like single mamas, like, like if you're a papa and you don't live in the home with your partner anymore, you're the mother of your children, or you are for whatever reason separated, like your mama is taking on the world. And if she doesn't have someone there to see even a few of those things, the physical and energetic and emotional burden that she is enduring is very, very, very significant. Yeah. And it's going to ripple into your children. Yeah.
Let's take a breath for that.
Yeah.
I think the old adage, it gets messy or it gets complicated, right? It's like stay together for the children. And some people do that until they're 18 and there's this 18 or 16 years of resentment that's built up. What I heard you say is that, the kids need their parents or need two able-bodied caretakers. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing in the field of relationships that are falling apart? And what's your wish for how we can combat that?
Well, you and I say we don't know the exact statistic, but we've seen probably a good 50% or maybe more of our friends who are couples with small children, so like under the age of 3, separating or getting divorces. And it's a big strain. Having small children is a big strain without a village, with all of the societal pressures, with, inflation, expensive world. I get it. Like you need to work, how do you get, take care of your child? But what a lot of the people that I look up to and I respect are saying is don't have children, first of all. So like, I think the bigger pieces, a lot of them are realizing the cracks in the relationship are deeper once the child is present. It's almost like they illuminate the problems. So, this is like, again, something people say, but don't have a child to fix a problem. That's going to just make the problem more intense. And, do the couples work before you have children, not after. Like, don't go to couples counseling after, even though that could also be helpful. Simple things like appreciating your partner can be really significant. And also saying like, this is what you could do better, but in a safe way, in a way that feels like someone can receive it. Don't scream it in their face.
I think, kids are the ultimate dysregulators too. So when the entire environment is overwhelmingly dysregulated, the journey to coming back to connection and to regulation and to reasoning and building a life together, it's a lot harder.
Yeah. And women, I think that's the other part of motherhood that they can't prepare you for is like physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, hormonal experience. If you have a cesarean and you have a full like abdominal surgery that you have to recover from, it's hard to be in partnership and also take care of a small, helpless little infant who needs you really 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so I think, for papas, especially first time papas or papas soon to be who might be listening to the podcast, it's a massive adjustment of expectations. And I even tell you this from time to time, is like, it's really those first 3 to 5 years and we're still in it.
Yes.
We are definitely still in it. And we definitely have to put a lot of extra effort to stay connected. And you even have to do a lot of extra effort to make sure you have my eye contact. Because I'm trucking and I'm doing this and I'm thinking about 12 other things. And just to get me, really, to get me. And I can see where if you had some cracks in your own childhood trauma, or just how you think relationship or love should look, that you might be angry or start to resent your partner for not showing up in the ways that you need. Not just like maybe sexually, but other, like just showing up and having a conversation with you.
That's a big one for a lot of men.
Yeah.
In a lot of the Facebook groups, they've got a 4-month-old, and it's like, my wife won't touch me. She doesn't want to be, physically intimate.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a pretty good job maintaining levels of physical touch and intimacy, but it's certainly not easy.
And I think we already had like a strong foundation of that.
Yeah.
Like, and we can do it like jokingly that, like, if we haven't had intimacy, we can kind of like somehow come back together in that joke. But if that is like one of the glues that holds your relationship together, and then all of a sudden it's not present, I could understand how that would feel like a vast hole, or like in just like abyss of like, this person has left me already. I might as well walk out of this relationship.
That's a strong insight. I think as Papa, as a man, when my sexual energy isn't going outward, then it's on me to really harness it and bring it inward. From that place, it's actually really energy giving. When I'm retaining my life force, that's where I do have more capacity to do the dishes and the laundry and clean up the 64 things and make it to the gym and still come home regulated, ready to be present and connected, because I'm using that energy for good.
And you're upfront when you've like reached the point of like, okay, we really need to connect. And I think you're very honest, and you're like, and you're playful with it. So it's like, okay, it's like been a week or it's been 2 weeks. It's like, and then I'm like, oh, and then I kind of can refocus my attention back on you and back on us.
Yes, and then I can seduce you. Let's take a brief pause. Okay. I believe he's got a wet diaper. Okay. I can smell it.
Okay.
So we're back. Took a brief pause to change Max's diaper, and now he's on the floor having some tummy time. And continuing to chat with my beautiful beloved about... There's so much that comes up as we're raising little ones. I, as best as I am to be the peaceful papa and regulated in my nervous system and present and all the things, I still get triggered, especially when there's a screaming infant or toddler in one or both of my arms. Could you speak to what's happening hormonally for the mamas, and why is it extra for dad to be able to, a lot of dads really struggle, especially in those first 6 months, to feel like they can add any value or find connection with their infant and their partner. What's happening?
When a woman is not sleeping, and there's sleep deprivation in whatever capacity that looks like, cortisol levels are through the roof, right? Stress hormones. And so our body has built-in tools to help us be able to keep showing up for our children. And especially if mama is breastfeeding or pumping, we'll have that juicy oxytocin, even if baby is screaming, even if, as long as we have some cuddle time, it keeps pumping through, and it's that feel-good hormone. It's that love hormone. And so we can keep showing up, even if it's blood-curdling screeches and screams. And you and I encountered this a couple of times. You were just like, make it stop. And it didn't seem that loud or that bad to me. And so I think it's just being aware that that's what's going on, and doing a quick Google search and knowing a little bit more about what's going on with mama hormonally, just in case she doesn't know and she can't educate you. But also, again, staying resourced. I think because you stay resourced, it's your own form of papa oxytocin to come combat and to keep showing up, even if you're getting the scream in your face or you're getting the projectile vomit or whatever you're getting, you're able to keep showing up and keep supporting mama too.
Yeah, that was not the case with our first. I remember the first 4 months especially were really challenging. And I had my breaking point, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks into having an infant. And I was really liberated to share with you, like, hey, I'm not loving this stage of development.
Yeah.
And I'll say that having Max and going through it a second time, a lot easier. Certainly didn't have all of the challenges of the first time.
Yeah.
But it didn't make it easier.
No.
And I think I do appreciate the ways that you are more patient, more resourced hormonally than I am.
Yeah. And I think it is just harder for papas to connect to infants, especially if mama's breastfeeding in the first, I'd even say up to like 6, 7, 8 months, because baby is so attached to mama, to primary caregiver. Yeah. And so it's like, where do I fit in here? And this is where, you kind of become the homemaker. And I remember a dear friend of mine once told me that being a mother is one of the most masculine things, like especially in the first year, that she's ever done. She's very soft. She's very, very open, but she's like, you got to get stuff done. And so dad almost has to go into a more feminine caretaker role for mama because she can't provide all those things for herself. I'm going to pick him up.
Yeah, smart.
Come here, buddy.
Come on back, Max.
Come here, buddy. He's like, I'm done on the floor. I need I need some time.
We're going to start Max's podcast. It's going to be Relax with Max. It'll be a short episode.
Yeah, right. Oh. Yeah. There's a lot of lights.
Yeah. In the interest of Max's attention span, and I love where we've traversed so far. We're 3 years into parenthood. Yeah. And in many ways also 6 months in, as it's like resets the clock. Yeah. Where are you at now, and what are you most looking forward to?
I think having a second like blows you open in another way, and so it is a new rebirth. And so my clock got reset too as a human, and I'm still figuring out and navigating that. So I'm in that discovery phase, I think, to decide what I want to be in next. Oh.
My breath for Max.
I know, breath for Max. I'm gonna stand up. I don't know if that's okay. I might mess up the. But I think the other piece for me is I'm excited to see what's possible. In our family constellation, I think we have a little budding human being.
A smiley one.
Having this guy, a new energy in our field that we're still getting to know and still understanding. And then ultimately a toddler who's becoming, she's got a lot of personality. Her verbal skills are exponential. And we're just getting to know her and her storytelling and her way of being. And so I'm excited about all the things that are coming. And I'm terrified at the same time about where we're headed. But I know we have the tools and we know how to stay resourced. And so that's our greatest challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful just for me to witness you in your becoming. As our toddler becomes, you become. As our Max learns to crawl, you also learn to crawl and walk in new ways. Yeah. And it's been overwhelming, such a joy to do life with you, to get to build an intentional, sweet, loving family. It was really special this past weekend to host friends and family in our home to celebrate and honor the journey that we've been on. Mm-hmm. It's been sweet, it's been bitter, it's been colorful.
Oh yeah, stretched us in all the ways. Yeah, it's a serious like spiritual, emotional, personal growth journey to be a parent, and probably the most intense and most expansive one that I've experienced, and I've experienced a lot of them.
Yes. Well, Mama, thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Any final thoughts that you'd like to put into the space before we wrap up?
Well, I said this before, we're going to have a part 2 and just check in. So we'll see where that goes maybe next season. Yeah, but I think just to tell papas that, this podcast and your presence is is such a gift. You were born to be a papa. I know you weren't always sure that was going to be your path, but you were born to be it. And you have so many tools and gifts and presence that really helps papas be in this journey, be in this job, be in this position in life. Yeah. And I'm grateful that you're doing this. I'm grateful that you're sharing all your buddies and meeting some new people and sharing their juice. So I'm grateful for the podcast, grateful for all the work you do in the world, grateful for your presence.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To the papas, to the mamas listening, thank you for taking your time to listen to our story. If something inspired you, please reach out. The Peaceful Papa on Instagram and all the other channels. And Lynan, if people want to connect with you, what's a good way to track you down these days?
So yeah, I have my business Instagram and at the Experience Experts, but I'm starting a new mama Instagram, so we'll share that in the show notes. And yeah, I say this on every podcast I've ever been on, is if something about me or my journey, resonates with you, please reach out. I've made friends for less, and I've met people around the world who've heard podcasts I've been on, and I've created really beautiful friendships and connections there. So if there's something there, please connect with us. And we know that it's hard to build it without a village. It's also hard and challenging to show up with your own trauma and to be the peaceful papa and be the peaceful mama. But there are tools to kind of do it. And reach out. We've got a lot of connections to make it work.
Yeah, Max would love to hear from you. And again, thank you for listening. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. You've been listening to the Peaceful Papa Podcast. May the wisdom you found here ripple into your being, your family, your community, and the world at large. I look forward to being with you again soon. See you on the next episode.